So let us start the third semester topic. It is actually the balance from the second semester. In second semester, what we studied is the Hilbert space formalism of quantum mechanics, and how to solve some of the exactly solvable problems like linear harmonic oscillator, then some other uh, potentials, particle in a box, central potential, spherical potential, like that. Then hydrogen atom problem. These are the topics covered in the last semester. These are the exactly solvable problems, and all other problems. I mean, lot of problems are not exactly solvable because the potential, when you incorporate the equation for the potential, one thing is you cannot write the potential in an exact form, and then another thing, even if you write the potential in an exact form, that equation is not solvable. That second order differential equation is not solvable because we cannot reduce that into some of the standard forms. Very difficult to solve. So in most of the times we depend upon the approximation methods. Okay, so generally problems can be classified into exactly solvable problems and approximate solutions, approximate methods. Okay, and you can see that most of the problems fall into the approximate methods. Only very countable, finger countable problems are exactly solvable in quantum mechanics. Most of the problems are not exactly solvable. So we have to use some approximation method. So we are in this semester, you are going to learn these approximation methods, some of the approximation methods, and these approximation methods are also not common, not general. That also depends upon the problems. Depending upon each problem, you have to select a suitable method. So the first method we are going to learn is time independent perturbation theory. Then we learn the variational method, another approximation method. Then we will learn time dependent perturbation theory, and then we study another chapter on scattering process. Then the last chapter is about the relativistic electrodynamics. So we have 5 chapters in this semester. So first we are starting with the time independent perturbation theory. Then we will learn variation method. Then I will quickly finish the time dependent method perturbation theory, and then I will go to the relativistic quantum mechanics. Then finally we will deal with the scattering chapter, scattering problems. Okay, so we know how why these problems are complicated, because the potential is the main thing which makes the things complicated. Can you see now? I think it is gone. Can you see? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first simplest method is time independent perturbation theory. Here you know what is meant by perturbation. Perturbation means a very small disturbance. For example, in the case of linear harmonic oscillator, you can slightly perturb the system by adding along with the potential is half kx square. Then you can add some one more term, half, not half, no need of half, some constant into x cube or x to the power of 4, like that. So if you add that term along with potential, harmonic oscillator becomes anharmonic oscillator, or it is a perturbed harmonic oscillator. And in the case of hydrogen atom, you can slightly disturb the hydrogen atom by applying some electric field externally. So already there is an electric field inside the hydrogen atom. When you apply electric field from outside, that electric field affects the internal electric field, so they will interact. So that is a perturbation, very small. Don't increase the value of external field too much. If you apply electric field, external electric field, that is not a perturbation. Then even the electrons can move out from the atom. That is ionization. So we don't consider ionization. We only perturb the system, slightly disturb the system. That is the meaning of perturbation. Okay, so you can apply external electric field, or you can similarly apply external magnetic field. That is also a perturbation, not too high magnetic field, not very high magnetic field, but a reasonable magnetic field, so that it will affect the magnetic field inside the atom. Okay, so these are the examples of perturbation. And first we are learning time independent perturbation. Time independent means whatever you are doing, your disturbance, your perturbation is not changing with respect to time. You apply a magnetic field means you apply a static magnetic field. You apply electric field means you apply a static electric field, not a varying electric field. Okay, so perturbation is not changing, it is time independent. So that is the simplest possible perturbation. So let us study in such cases how we can use quantum mechanics to solve the problems. So first we are going to learn Rayleigh-Schrodinger perturbation theory. Rayleigh-Schrodinger perturbation theory for discrete levels. Okay. So that time independent perturbation theory is also known as Rayleigh-Schrodinger perturbation theory, or you can say time independent perturbation theory. So when this method can be applied, that is the first question. Perturbation theory can be used when? Before perturbation. For example, you know everything about hydrogen atom, or you know everything about harmonic oscillator. Then you can slightly disturb the system. That means you perturb the system, apply the perturbation theory, because the already is already known to you. Solution is already known to you for the unperturbed system. So then you have to, only thing you have to do is slightly modify the solutions, because our perturbation is also very small. Solution also has to be modified little. So in such cases only we apply perturbation theory. Okay, so perturbation theory can be used when the problem we wish to solve is only slightly different from the problem that can be solved exactly. Okay, that is the first condition. You can exactly solve the problem if you remove the perturbation. Okay, such problems you can deal with the time independent perturbation theory. So if the deviation between two problems is small, deviation means the difference before and after perturbation, system is only a slight, system shows only a very small difference. Okay, Then perturbation theory is suitable for calculating the contribution from this deviation. Okay, so you already know the system, its solution is known, then you are slightly changing the potential. Slightly changing potential means, but you are slightly acting, some force is acting, some additional force is acting on the system. Some additional potential is acting on the system. Okay, then you have to slightly modify the existing solution. Then you can arrive at the final result. You can match with the experiment. Okay, so then the deviation from the solution is added as a correction factor. So what you are not completely solving a perturbed system. You are finding out a correction factor to the energy and the wave function. Then you add that correction factor. Okay, that is the method. So perturbation theory is building on non-solutions. Okay, already known solutions, exact solutions. Then we get the approximate solutions, which are the solutions of the perturbed system. Okay, so now you consider so I think the idea is clear. You need a non-system. Okay, you should need a non-system. Its solution should be known. Everything should be known. So consider a system like that. Consider a non-system with the discrete energies, and everything is known to you. All the energy eigenvalues En0 is known, and all the eigenfunctions psi n of 0 is known. And this psi n of 0 already form a complete orthonormal set. And H0 is also known, Hamiltonian. So we can write the Schrodinger equation as H0 psi n of 0 equal to En of 0 psi n of 0. This is the Schrodinger equation for the unperturbed system. Is that clear? This is the non-system equation. Everything is known in this equation. Okay? Everything is well defined, well known to us. So now we are going to apply a perturbation on this system. So perturbation, how this will be affected? Perturbation will mainly affect the Hamiltonian, H0. H0. H is actually T plus V. T square by 2m plus V. That V is going to change. Now, if a small disturbance or perturbation is made on such system, I told the examples, action of an external electric field or an external magnetic field on an atom. That is an example. Then the energy values will shift. Whenever you apply external field, energy values may change. Either it may increase or decrease. So the changes can be evaluated by this perturbation method. I think you know the energy level diagram. So energy level diagram, each energy is represented by horizontal lines. These horizontal lines may move up or down according to the perturbation. And the only thing you have to evaluate is how much the energy levels are shifted or how much the energy values are changed. Okay, that is what I told. We are not completely determining its energy eigenvalue. Already known eigenvalue, how much shift has happened. That is only what we are doing. Okay, so let capital H is the new Hamiltonian. When you apply perturbation, H0 becomes H, new Hamiltonian of the perturbed system, and let psi n be the wave function of the perturbed wave function. So the new system, for the perturbed system, the Schrodinger equation is H psi n equal to En psi n. Okay, H psi n equal to En psi n. This is the new system. This is the equation number 1 is completely known to us. Solution is also known to us. Everything is known. This is the new system. H psi n equal to En psi n. Okay. So this one we have to solve, but that is not exactly solvable. So we are going to find the shift from the original solution. So the time independent perturbation theory provides a systematic method of successive approximations to any perturbed wave function psi n and energy eigenvalue En. We already learned that series method. Anything can be expanded as a series. So series you can approximate to decide accuracy, and you can find the solution. Okay, so psi n and En are the new perturbed wave functions and perturbed energy. These things you can determine in terms of psi n of 0 and En of 0. They are the known eigenfunctions and eigenvalues. Now what we are doing is, basic idea is to split capital H new Hamiltonian into, can be written as H0 plus delta H. Okay, so this was the original Hamiltonian, unperturbed Hamiltonian, and this is the perturbed Hamiltonian or new Hamiltonian. So new Hamiltonian is old Hamiltonian plus a small change in Hamiltonian, delta H. Okay, so a small change we only incorporate, a very small change. Okay, so H you can write this delta H, you can write it as a constant lambda into V. V is the potential. Okay, so here you can write H0 plus lambda V. Delta H you can write it as a constant times lambda times V, where V is the perturbing potential and lambda is the perturbation parameter. Okay, so lambda can vary continuously in the range 0 to 1. Lambda can vary between 0 and 1. If lambda equal to 0 means no perturbation. That is, or we tend to the original system, unperturbed things, unperturbed solution, unperturbed energy, eigenvalues. If you put lambda equal to 0 whenever, you will reach the known system. Lambda equal to 1 means fully perturbed system. System is different from the original system. Okay. Now for all practical cases, you can take lambda equal to 1. So you can write H equal to H0 plus lambda V. Now, similarly, you can write the new eigenvalues En equal to En of 0, original eigenvalues. This is known. This is completely known. Okay. Then plus a small change in del energy. This is the shift, what I told earlier. Either horizontal line shifted slightly to the top or lower side. This is the change in energy levels. So this is completely known, and this is the new energy level is slightly different from the old level. So that you can write it as En of 0 plus lambda En of 1. Delta En you can write it as lambda En of 1. En of 1 means this 1 means first order correction. 0 means the known system, fully known system. 1 means first order correction to the energy eigenvalues. Similarly, psi n wave function also can be written as psi n of 0 plus delta psi n. Okay, all these are simple approximations. So you can write it as psi n of 0 plus lambda psi n of 1. Okay. So all the three equations, H, Hamiltonian, energy, wave function, all can be written like this. Known things plus a small correction. Okay. So this delta En and delta Cn all are small. Delta H are all small quantities. That then only perturbation means. These should not be very high compared to the original values. Okay. Now you can substitute all these in this equation. In this equation, this 1.2, you substitute H equal to H0 plus delta H, psi n equal to psi n of 0 plus delta psi n, En equal to En of 0 plus delta En. So this equation becomes 1.2 becomes hello sir, Kalinda, good evening. ഞാൻ ക്ലാസ് എടുത്തോണ്ടിരിക്കുക, ഇതുവരെ കളിച്ചില്ല. ക്ലാസ് എടുക്കുക. ആ ശരി ശരി. Okay, so you substitute all these expressions in this equation for H, for psi n, for En. So that equation becomes like this. See, for H you have substituted H0 plus delta H. For psi n you substituted psi n of 0 plus delta psi n. En of 0 plus delta En, and psi n of 0 plus delta psi n. Now let you multiply all these and write the expanded form. So H0 psi n of 0, then delta H into psi n of 0 plus H0 into delta psi n plus delta H into delta psi n. Okay, equal to En of 0 psi n of 0, then delta En psi n of 0 plus En of 0 delta psi n, delta En delta psi n. Okay. So this delta you can neglect. This fourth term on both the sides you can neglect. Delta H, delta psi n. Delta itself is very small. So delta into delta is very again small quantity that you can neglect. Similarly, this fourth term on the RHS also you can neglect. So here three terms will come. Here also three terms will come. Now you subtract the equation for non-system from this equation. Subtract 1.1. Then H0 psi n of 0, En of 0, psi n of 0 goes, cancels. What remains is these two terms, delta H psi n of 0 plus H0 delta psi n equal to these second and third terms on the RHS. So second and third term on the LHS equal to second and third term on the RHS, dropping the terms which has lambda square. Okay, so 2 delta comes that you can neglect. Now take the scalar product with the psi n of 0. You write all these in the Dirac-Ketbara notation. Then you multiply on the left by bra psi n of 0 on every fourth term. Then you will get the equation like this. Psi n of 0, delta H psi n of 0, psi n of 0 H0 delta psi n equal to psi n of 0 delta En psi n of 0 plus psi n of 0 En of 0 delta psi n. Is that clear? Multiply on the left side with the bra psi n of 0. Everywhere psi n of 0, psi n of 0, psi n of 0, psi n of 0. So this delta En you can take it outside because that is a constant. Delta En is a constant. En of 0 is a constant. Take that on the left side of the outside of the ket bra. So here delta En you can put outside. So psi n of 0, psi n of 0, that is 1 because this is auto-normalized. This is 1. Then En of 0 into psi n of 0 delta psi n. Okay. Now from this equation you take the first this second term. Take the second term, this one, psi n of 0 h0 delta psi n. Okay, that you can consider as h0 is acting on psi n of 0 to the left side, h0 acting to the left on bra psi n of 0. That you can write it as En of 0 psi n of 0. So En of 0 you can take to the outside. Okay, so that becomes same as this equation. So this the second term becomes same as this term, last term on the RHS, second term on the RHS. So these are equal, so you can cancel these two. Now what remains is that these two terms, first this term, this first term, and this delta En term. Okay, so from that you can write what is delta En. ഇത് മനസ്സിലായെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു അല്ലേ? ഇത് എങ്ങനെയാ ഇതും കൂടെ എങ്ങനെ ക്യാൻസൽ ചെയ്ത് പോയെന്ന് മനസ്സിലായി. ഈസിയാണ്. h0 ലെഫ്റ്റിലേക്ക് ആക്ട് ചെയ്യണ പോലെ വിചാരിച്ചു. So you can write En of 0, psi n of 0, En of 0 പുറത്തേക്ക് എടുക്കാം. Then what remains is these two terms exactly matches, so they cancel each other. So delta En you can write it as E psi n of 0 delta H psi n of 0 divided by psi n of 0 psi n of 0.